The president gave a energy speech yesterday in which he promised that within a year, he's going to figure out some rules to regulate industry, or at least regulate the release of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases, and that within a year after that, he's going to put them into place, which is going to be kind of running up into the end of his presidency. But, there are some who are suggesting, okay, this could be his legacy. This could be a really great thing. And others who are saying, well, he's throwing the dog a bone to the green end of his base. And I could build an argument for either one. I'm going to just wait and see. Brian McNicoll, Senior Communications Director with the Competitive Enterprise Institute, CEI.org, is somewhat more skeptical of the whole thing. Brian, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
The only industry, to the best of my knowledge, that doesn't pay to dispose of its waste. I mean, we here at the Thom Hartmann Program, we generate waste. It's mostly paper, but we pay as part of our rent to dispose of our waste. Sure. Where I live, I certainly pay to dispose of my waste. If you own a restaurant, you pay to have your waste taken away, or any kind of business. Right. But the only industry, as far as I know, that doesn't pay to have their waste disposed of is the fossil fuel industry. They don't pay for the carbon dioxide that they pour into our atmosphere. Why not?
Well, we also don't pay to exhale either, which also puts carbon dioxide in.
Well, no, it doesn't. When we exhale, we are cycling carbon. When we eat, we're absorbing carbon, and all of that is contemporary carbon. What the fossil fuel industry is doing is not cycling carbon. They're not taking carbon that's currently in the environment, in the atmosphere, using it metabolically and either excreting it or absorbing it. They're taking carbon that was metabolized 300 to 600 million years ago through a process fueled by sunlight and done by photosynthesis. They're taking, and then trapped underground for 300 million years, they're taking that carbon out of the ground and throwing it into the atmosphere. That's waste. That's a very different thing than exhaling.
Well, that would be your view.
Well, no, that's science. This is fifth grade high school or fifth grade basic science. There's a difference between I inhale oxygen, exhale carbon dioxide. The tree outside my house inhales carbon dioxide, exhales oxygen. That's a carbon cycle. That's a very different thing from digging 1,000 feet down into the ground and extracting oil, which used to be rotted sea vegetation 600 million years ago, and pulling the carbon out of that and throwing it into the atmosphere. That's producing waste. So why shouldn't the fossil fuel industry pay for their waste?
Well, I am not why are we on that question? I thought we were talking about the president. The president.
Well, I think that's the essential question. I think that the president should be calling for a carbon tax so that the people who are producing this waste, which is in turn warming our atmosphere, we've got 5% more water vapor in our atmosphere right now than we've had before. We're seeing an explosion in high magnitude weather events. That the people who are causing this should be helping pay for the remediation of it. I mean, according to the reinsurance company, Swiss Re is coming out going, they're nearly hysterical. There's large portions of this country that are now uninsurable.
Okay, well, emissions there's less waste, right, than there was 10 years ago. We're almost to 1980 levels of waste.
Yes, but still, the fact that they haven't paid for their waste in 150 years doesn't mean they shouldn't start today.
Why aren't we not looking at what's really going on here? Is this lined up against the coal industry, or is it going to be anything that comes out of a smokestack? I mean, how does this work?
I'm saying that any carbon that comes out of the ground that's not part of the normal carbon cycle, any carbon that comes out of the ground that ends up in my atmosphere, I would like the person who puts that carbon in the atmosphere to pay for it. We had this problem with sulfur, back in the 1980s. And sulfur comes along with coal as well as carbon. And sulfur was being ejected into the atmosphere in huge amounts from smokestacks from coal-fired power plants. Right. And George Herbert Walker Bush, good Heritage Foundation Republican that he was, took a Heritage Foundation solution and put into place a cap-and-trade program where the banksters could make some money off this, industry could make some money off this, and the net consequence was that acid rain went away. I mean, they actually, we've over the last 30 years, we've pretty much solved the acid rain problem with a cap and trade program. Why not do that with carbon dioxide?
Well, because carbon dioxide, you're talking about, for one thing, we haven't determined that it's harmful. I mean,
certainly we have.
Excel it.
Right? Of course we have. Come on, Brian. Virtually every scientist in the world, and I would say of the ones who are not in the employ of the fossil fuel industry, all the scientists in the world agree that we've got a real serious problem here.
They won't show us the science.
Oh, come on.
They won't.
That's patently untrue.
Ask the EPA for the science that demonstrates that carbon dioxide is a pollutant. And see what happens.
Not only will the EPA provide it, but they provided it to the Supreme Court several years ago when the Supreme Court ruled explicitly that the EPA has the authority under the Constitution and under the law to regulate carbon dioxide as a pollutant because it is one.
Well, why won't they show us the science that supports that?
Of course they do. They
have it. They have a big longitudinal study that the EPA will not produce. So the EPA says, hey, we don't really own it. But it's owned by the government paid for it, taxpayers paid for it, and they won't show it. And we've been after it for 4 years, so I know that they.
Well, good luck trying to get a piece of paper out of the EPA. That doesn't argue against the. We've got to do something about this. There is no disputing that carbon in our atmosphere, principally in the form of carbon dioxide, but also in the form of methane, is warming our planet, and the consequence of that is not good for the human race or for all other forms of life, by the way. You've got trees that can't outrun climate change, and forests are dying off across North America and Europe.
Well, the New York Times says it's been 20 years since there's been any warming.
No, that's not true. It's been 20 years since we hit the peak.
People, the New York Times is like...
No, first of all, it wasn't 20 years. It was 16 years.
To strengthen it?
First of all, it wasn't 20 years, it was 16 years that they were saying. And secondly, it's because...
The other 3 years is accounted for by the warming after the ash of Mount Pinatubo left.
Right. 1997 was an exceptionally hot year. It was an extraordinarily hot year. But the line for the last 30 years, with the exception of 98, which popped up really super hot. Yes, we're just getting back to where 1998 was. But that doesn't mean that 1999 wasn't warmer than 1997. It was. And 2000 was warmer than 1999, and 2001 was warmer than 2000, and the trend has continued.
In the United States, right?
Worldwide.
Okay, no, in the United States. Go back and look.
Worldwide. The trend, Brian, look at the trend in the Arctic. It's even more radical.
3,000 measuring stations all near major cities where there's a heating effect. So, yeah, I mean, if
the satellite measurements of the planet match up, the Arctic measurements match up, the deep sea measurements from submarines are indicating that as much as 70% of all that warming is ending up in the oceans. Come on, Brian.
Okay, there's been no warming for, you want to say 17 years. There was no warming from the 50s
I'm not saying
to the
that.
70s. So if this thing takes 20-year breaks off and then warms a little...
That's not what happened.
20-year breaks off...
That's not what happened. You're misrepresenting the statistics.
The New York Times says it's happening.
You are misrepresenting the statistics. You had one very hot year.
What the New York Times says.
No, this is a misrepresentation of the statistics. You have one very hot year, 1997 or 98, and that one very hot year doesn't mean that every year after it that was cooler than that one year, but was warmer than all the years that preceded it, are irrelevant.
I'm not pretending anything. I'm just telling you, these guys are saying it's not warming.
Yeah, the same people who are telling us that, who told us that tobacco doesn't cause cancer.
The lowest parameter of the lowest model. Yeah. The people who are studying this, who are really studying this, are not doing it for political means.
Brian McNicoll, hang on just a second, Brian.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Sorry, Brian. The guy always steps on me. Brian McNicoll, Senior Communications Director, Competitive Enterprise Institute, CEI.org. Brian, thank you for being with us today.
All right.
Good talking to you.